and they were trying to form and shape the exhortation Laudate Si, the environmental exhortation by Francis. There he is meeting the Pope and introduced by Bishop Sorondo, the Argentine bishop. So there were several meetings that were going on. Ban Ki-moon was especially effusive in his gratitude to the Pope for supporting the UN Sustainable Development Goals. UN? Yes, the Holy Father, or the UN is our friend. This is outside the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences. These are several of the meetings of, a lot of these are globalists, the elites from the NGOs who come, Sachs, they're sitting in the first row. This, I think, is a very interesting, and Americans should really pay attention to this. This is George Soros, a quote from George Soros of Davos, Davos in Switzerland, the big fancy meeting that all the CEOs of the world and hedge fund guys go to. In 1995, he said, "The world needs a new world order, and I am here to alert you that we are entering a period of world disorder." Well, what George Soros didn't happen to mention is that he himself was going to fund much of the world's disorder. Population control proponents and Soros operatives at the Pontifical Academy. Glad everybody's sitting down. Okay. And I think this is a message, if you take anything back with you, and this was, I think, in the Bloomberg News, and I thought, I can't believe they're coming out and saying this. That really what climate change is all about is about controlling the population, stop having babies. They finally came out and said it. That's why we need to continue to battle this. Let me just quickly go through Jeffrey Sachs, who seems to be the one who was dispatched by Soros and the UN. As I mentioned, beneficiary of $50 million of Soros funds, director of the Columbia University Earth Institute. I mean, he wears many, many hats. The lefts really do know how to, I would say double dip, but it's really like triple dip. Quadruple dip. He's special advisor to the UN Secretary General and a long time, as I mentioned, Soros collaborator. He's spoken 18 times at the Vatican, 18 times. Keynote speaker. The Vatican also, calls him our greatest supporter. Francis did acknowledge the wonderful partnership with the UN, and as I mentioned, Laudate Si to help push the approval of the Paris Treaty and the SDGs. There is the meeting of Ban Ki-moon on your right, Bishop Sorondo to the left of the Pope, Jeff Sachs, and the two interpreters. That's the close connection and nexus between, Francis and others can say, oh, well, it was a hands-off relationship. Quite the contrary. It was very intimate planning and strategy sessions regarding how to push forward the UN environmental agenda, not only at the UN, but also within the Catholic Church. And folks, it's in the religious ed programs. It's in the Catholic school curriculum now. Many of you may have heard about it from the pulpit. So we're just beginning to see the effects of this UN agenda. There's Jeffrey Sachs in one of his 18 keynote speeches right next to Sorondo at the Pontifical Academy. Okay. There is Pope Francis speaking, acknowledging Jeffrey Sachs on the same dais together speaking at the Pontifical Academy. And that was, I think, June of this year. So it was very, not so long ago. And so again, because what I'm talking about is really hard for Catholics to take in, I wanted you to see for yourself. These are some of these pictures are ones that I found. I mean, I was sitting in that very room at the Human Trafficking Conference. So I wanted you to see the close collaboration in real life, in pictures. Joseph Stiglitz, who is a radical economists. Here he is with his longtime close friend, Soros. As I mentioned before, they're on panels together. They write books together. Joe Stiglitz is an honorary or full member lifetime member of the Pontifical Academy. He speaks many times at the Pontifical Academy. I mean, I kept on thinking, why can't they find a faithful Catholic, conservative Catholic economist? There must be thousands out there to put in the Pontifical Academy. But no, they pick the most radical of radicals, socialists, to serve. And by the way, Stiglitz was an appointment, I think John Paul II.